Civilization 7 has been out for almost 2 months, and we're starting to get a better idea of where balance currently sits. Now keep in mind, as more and more patches come out, this will change, but at this current point in time, we've got a pretty good idea of where these civs stand. So today, we are going to be putting all of them on a tier list. Now keep in mind, this is only going to be for the Antiquity age, or at least the civs in the Antiquity age, but we're still going to be considering their effects as they move forward into the Exploration age, and the lasting effects that they even have into the Modern era. And we'll be doing this tier list in order of strongest all the way down to weakest. So we're going to start off with, of course, exactly what you would expect from a strongest civilization. We're going to try and focus on the good parts of the civilization and less on the bad parts of it. So let's get to it. So the Mayans. Of course, you guys already know where on this tier list they are going to be going, but let's talk about why that is. The Mayans are incredible for one reason in particular, and that is because throughout the ages, they have got one bonus that stays with them and is more impactful the longer the game goes on, and that is their unique district. Their unique district allows them to take advantage of their science generation throughout the game and the scaling that you experience, and that means that no matter the civilization that you pick in the Exploration or in the Modern era, you're going to have a huge amount of production. 15% to every single one of your cities that has got the unique district. And if we take a look at how many of our cities have actually got the unique district, it's quite a bit. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cities that have all got the unique district. That means that when we complete a technology, that's 6 times 15%, 90% of the total tech per turn that you're getting that as production. That is ridiculous. It is crazy strong. It is going to be nerfed. We know that for sure. It's just a matter of a question of when. So that's the first thing that makes them so incredibly strong. Now, that doesn't make them particularly strong in the Age of Antiquity. It makes them good, in fact, even great. But there's other bonuses that make this civilization even better in Antiquity. So let's talk about some of those. So the next one is their tempo from the beginning of the game with regard to science. So we've got 9 science here on our palace at the moment. But at the very beginning of the game, we actually get a bonus to our science. So 0.05 from adjacent vegetated terrain. And you have a vegetated spawn bias, which means that you're going to typically be spawning around 4, maybe 3. It can vary, but it basically means from the very beginning of the game, you've got like an extra 20% science that's just helping you out. And that's a huge tempo boost in the early game. It means that you're going to be able to pick up techs a lot sooner than other players. On top of that, you've also got the unique unit, which is the Hulchi up here, this little guy. This guy is just an incredible unit. It is so damn good, this unit, because it is allowed to go through vegetated terrain. It does not need to have any movement penalty through it. On top of that, you can also use it to kite. So what that means is if you've got vegetated terrain here, you can run the Hulchi through that terrain over onto the other side. You can fire at a unit through the vegetated terrain, hit them, and then if they try and get you, they've got to go through that vegetated terrain, and it means that from there you can then, if this is a vegetated terrain tile, you can move back into this one and then fire through them again. It's just like basically you're stutter stepping, you're kiting the entire time that you're using them. So that's an incredible unit. The second unit that they've got access to, another unique unit, the Jaguar Slayer, is also just incredible, primarily because it's the only scout unit that's actually got a combat power, and that allows them to do things like defend early on with their Jaguar Slayer. It allows them to take out city-states with their Jaguar Slayer. If, you know, sometimes you'll run across a city-state that's got nobody attending to it and you just want to pick it up. You can't do that with a normal scout, but you can do that with a Jaguar Slayer, and that's part of the reason why they are so damn good. On top of that, you get a whole bunch of other bonuses. So just to talk a little bit about why their tech tree is so good, if we look at what they get, so first and foremost, the Kuna is just an incredible building. It obviously forms a component of that unique district, but the Kuna in itself gives 4 science at the first level, and also +2 if you've got vegetated terrain, so 6 science. It's incredible. And then on top of that, you've also got the altar gaining +1 science adjacency for vegetated terrain, and you're going to want to make an altar in the early game. They're one of the best buildings in the game that you can have, and that means that you can often find an altar that's got a really nice adjacency, like this one here. It's got, I think it had a 6 adjacency, or maybe a 5 adjacency, because this isn't vegetated. It had a huge adjacency. And it means that that is going to carry your science in the early game. You're just always ahead on science tempo. And then finally, the last component is this this civic tree is just a very good civic tree. Calendar round is an incredible civic to jump to, and then the mastery is +2 science on happiness buildings, +2 culture on happiness buildings. You have 3 in each one of your cities. It's just incredible. I'm a big fan of the Mayans, a very strong civilization, and of course, you knew exactly where they were going to go in this tier list from the very beginning. Looks like we got a little bit of lag right here. Apologies. But that is where they're going to be going. So now let's talk about our next civilization. We are going to be doing this in order of strength, and this one might surprise you. We're actually going to be doing the Han next. And the reason why I'm a big fan of the Han, they have risen very quickly in power level, in my opinion. I think that they are definitely a contender for one of the strongest Antiquity Age civilizations. There is a huge amount to work with here. So if we take a look here, you'll see that we've got a little bit of a Great Wall. Now, I'm in two minds about the Great Wall, just to talk a little bit about the Great Wall first. The way that the Great Wall works is I thought it was bugged. Some people think it's not bugged. They think that it's intended the way that it works. And essentially what it allows you to do is have very big cities. Cities that you shouldn't have anywhere near as big as what they are. If we take a look at how many rural tiles worked in this city right now, so if we look at the arena, you can see all of these rural tiles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're all rural tiles. On top of that, we're also going to be working any resources in here. That's a huge amount of rural tiles for you to be having in just a city like this. And that is part of the reason why it's so good. And you get some crazy good yields on these bad boys. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of them. But let's talk about the reasons why they are so damn good. So, first and foremost, their civic tree is by far the best, I think, in the game. The very first civic that they get immediately gives them +1 settlement limit, which is crazy. It means that you don't have to invest a lot to get into here. You can go chiefdom, you can go into discipline or into mysticism, and then go straight down into G, and this is just amazing. +1 settlement limit immediately. Science buildings gain a +1 science adjacency for quarters. What this means is your science buildings have always got crazy good adjacencies. If we take a look here, so in this playthrough, how many cities have we got? We've got 1 city, 2 cities, 3 cities, 4 cities, 5 cities, 6 cities, 7 cities. So 7 cities in this playthrough, and every single one of these libraries is an absolute banger. They are absolutely every single one of them, because they can just get that adjacency bonus. And on top of that adjacency bonus, the specialist is going to be stacking up. It means that you're always going to have a very strong science focus. And you can see here at our benchmark at the end of the game, we're at 423 science, which is a pretty decent amount of science. And that is largely just because of that component. Now, on top of that, the other reasons why their civic tree is so good is because you've got influence generation. Not only do you get +2 influence on the palace, which is already very good, +1 influence on science buildings. How many science buildings are you making in every city? 2. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 science that you've now just got through. On top of that, you've also got happiness buildings that get influence as well. So now you've got another 2 that you're throwing. And it means when you get to the end of the age, we're sitting at +67 accumulated influence per turn. That is insane. That is ridiculous. That is so damn crazy. That is so much influence. And with how strong influence is, that is incredible. But on top of that, one of the things to note is that those are traditions, which means they carry on to the next age. You can grab this in the early next age. This one's not as good in the early next age, but these are crazy strong traditions. And it means that if you're looking to go into exploration age, that you can take the Golden Age academies, and they are very good because they give influence from the beginning of the era. And on top of that, obviously, they've already got pretty good adjacencies. Keep in mind that that is a Han bonus, that adjacency, so that won't carry over into the next age. But yeah, those are the primary reasons why the Han are very good when it comes to their unique civic tree. On top of that, their Chukunu is very strong. We can combine it with the Great Wall, which gives a defensive bonus, and it means that now not only are you getting an economic bonus in the sense of culture and happiness that you're getting from the Great Wall, you've also got the defensive bonus. The Chukunu, just a crazy good unit on offense, on defense, wonderful for holding the line. The next thing that we want to talk about is their unique unit, which is called the Shi Defu. The Shi Defu is a bit of a weird one in that it's a great person and you basically get random ones. Some are good, some are not good. So this one here is probably the worst one, which gives you a free level on your army commander. And I say that it's the worst one just in the sense that, you know, we're doing a SimCity game here. There is a worse one, the one that gives +4 to an academy. That one can be very difficult to justify if you get it early in the game. It feels very bad. But overall, it is a solid, great person that gives you some decent yields throughout the game. You've got access to like a celebration in there. Anyway, the point is that I think the Han is a strong civilization. They're not going to be up all the way in S tier. I'll say that right now, but they are definitely going to be. Where is the Han? Here they are. They're going to be at the beginning of A tier, though. I tell you what, I'm going to have to reformat my PC because I'm noticing quite a bit of lag here. So hopefully we'll get it fixed up. Okay, so let's jump into the next civilization. Now, keep in mind that when we're talking about this tier list, this is for single player only, right? We're talking about up against the Deity AI, and we're not talking about multiplayer. And that is because the two are very different. There is a lot less focus on war when you're playing single player. And the primary reason why that is because when it comes to the bonuses that the Deity AI get, they get huge bonuses to war, especially in the early game. They get +8 bonus war support, essentially, and you've got to try and overcome that. Now, you might recognize this seed. This is the exact same seed that we played in the last game, but this time it's with the Mississippians. So, whereas the last game was with the Han, this is with the Mississippians. So, yeah, I may have nerded out a little bit and just tried to benchmark this same map, the same spawn, the same leader with different civilizations, just to see how much I could get them all pushing, and you can compare the numbers up towards the top of the table. So, let's talk a little bit about the Mississippians. Let me pull my notes up over here. I've got them prepared, ready to go. Okay, so the Mississippians are incredible just because, first and foremost, their tempo. They've got really strong tempo out of the gate. When we look at what makes them particularly strong, it's that when they can find an adjacency like this one right here, where you've got a +2, what that allows them to do is that allows them to get food and gold from that adjacency. So here, as an example, our barracks is pulling in food and gold. And that adjacency that comes through as under Goose Societies, the +2 or +1 food adjacency for resources, this allows them to really have a lot of tempo into the mid game. And it means that your cities are going to grow very large without you really needing to do too much. You just got to make buildings near resources, and that's essentially it. It also allows for some crazy yields that you can pull. As an example, we've got 49 total yields on this tile right here, which is a pretty decent amount of yields to be pulling in. The main reason why Mississippi is so good, though, is because of their unique civic, and that allows them to generate a huge amount of gold. Shell-tempered pottery. All buildings receive a +1 gold adjacency for resources. So if we take a look at how much gold that is actually pulling in for us right now, we will be able to see it's pulling in 191 gold per turn. That is a stupid amount of gold. That is so much gold. And gold is one of the best resources in Civ 7, in my opinion, because it allows you to be so flexible with what you want to do. It means that if you want to set up a new city, you can immediately get that city online. And if we take a look here, playing as the Mississippians, we've got 9 settlements, and every single one of them is a city. Every single one of these cities is completely maxed out. It has got every single thing that it needs. Actually, is that a city over there? That might not be a city. No, I take it back. That is a city. You can see. If we take a look at the production for this city, or for these cities, 52, 53, 59, 52. They are all absolutely massive production. Every single one of them has got the ability to produce units. They're all producing army commanders at the moment because they've got nothing left to produce. And that is the power of the Mississippians. With a huge amount of gold stockpiled, crazy amounts of science and culture as well. They're a very strong civilization with a lot of flexibility. But one of the things that let's go through the list that I've got prepared earlier. So when it comes to their civics, so they get their +1 settlement limit quite early on in their civic tree, and that's going to be a higher value than something that is further on. So as an example, with the Han, we saw that it was the first tech that they've got, whereas here it's the second tech that they've got, but it's still on a high value tech because we are going to be wanting to go to this. We get Monk's Mound, not that we really value Monk's Mound, but it's nice to have it. And then we've also got that shell-tempered pottery, which is just a mandatory thing. We're going to be working towards that as soon as we possibly can. And because of that, it just means that we're able to really always guarantee that we've got that +1 settlement limit. On top of that, we've also got one of the best unique units in the game, the Burning Arrow. It is just an incredible unit. It allows you so much control, whether you're on offense, whether you're on defense. It is an incredibly powerful unit. I love this unit a lot. I've just found out today it's quite difficult to be playing against this unit when the AI is playing as Mississippians, because it can not only shoot you, but it can burn you in the exact same turn, so that's frustrating. The other thing to note is with the Wato Nathi. I don't think I've ever said that word out loud. It's quite a cool unit in the sense that you can get merchants out, and then you can actually pay for the merchants themselves with the merchants, and then that can allow you to get more merchants. And it means that in situations like this, where you can see that we've got a huge amount of traders out. I don't know if there's any way to see how many merchants that we've got out, but I would estimate probably in the region of about 20 to 25. We are trading with every single settlement that there is that we can see. So yeah, Mississippians are quite a strong SimCity civilization, just purely for the fact that their gold generation is incredible. The main weakness to the Mississippians is you need cities to come online soon, so that you can push your yields up. And then once you can push your yields up, then you can keep up with the other civilizations. So when it comes to the Mississippians, we'll throw them on the tier list into the same tier as the Han. Let's just find them. We'll bring them up. We'll throw them up in the A tier. And we move on to our next civilization. So who else is going to be going in the A or the A tier here? I think it might be the Greeks. The Greeks, wow. Where do we even start with the Greeks? What an amazing civilization. Just very flexible, can do pretty much anything. You want to play science, you want to play culture, you want to play city-states, you want to play war, you can do absolutely any angle with the Greeks. And that's what I love about them. They are so damn flexible. They're so consistent. Now, when you're playing city-states, they can be a little bit more variable, right? You're not always going to get 1,000 city-states that spawn on your continent the same way that we got here. How many did we get on this game? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 city-states? 7 city-states? Not a bad amount of city-states right there. 7 city-states. And that just means that you've got huge bonuses. So let's talk a little bit about why the Greeks are so damn good. Number one is their starting bias. They start with a rough bias. That means that typically most of the tiles around their base or their starting location are going to be rough tiles. And rough tiles are really good because they allow us to put mines on those tiles. And there's a lot of ways that we can buff mines up. Typically, we're going to be looking to buff them up through our Pantheon, going into stone circles. We can also buff them up when we get to masonry. That's going to give us +1 on mines and quarries there. We can also buff them up once again with not a saw pit, but rather a brickyard. So there's lots of little ways that we can make them stronger, and that allows production is king when it comes to Civ 7. So if you can have a guaranteed mining start, you're always going to be a production king start kind of game. And that is very good. That is incredibly powerful. And that is part of the reason why they are so damn good. Let's look at what else we've got in here. So Hoplite +2. If we take a look at their Hoplite, their +2 is very easy to proc. So you can pretty much always be standing next or adjacent to another Hoplite. It's hard not to be standing next to it because of the way that Hoplites work. I don't even think we've talked about the 3 influence per turn on the palace, which is just influence as a resource is so damn hard to come by. And the fact that you've got +3 from the very beginning of the game is just on a whole nother level. It is that you could just take that and just put that on a Civ, and that's the only bonus it gets, and it would still be an A tier Civ. That's how powerful that is. It's incredible just how good that is. The other thing to note is just the way that you can stack up. I think city-states are really the key here if you want to play the Greeks. There's other ways that you can play them, but I think you want to really try and play into city-states as much as you can. We have multiplied, or rather, we've just put in a whole bunch of different bonuses here. So our monument is getting a bonus from the city-states. Our Parthenon is getting a bonus from the city-states. You can see the amount of gold that they've got on them. Our libraries are getting a bonus from the city-states. Everything here is getting a bonus from the city-states. And so we really want to try and play around that as the Greeks. On top of that, our hoplites here, if we were to declare war right now, well, I didn't actually mean to attack you, but I just wanted to have a look at how much damage our units actually do. So we get +16 combat strength from being a suzerain of city-states. So there's just so many things that you get from being a suzerain of a city-state. On top of that, it's very easy to proc. If we go into the diplomatic tree, it's very easy to proc this as the Greeks. If you just take Treaty of Kadesh for the first level, it's a memento Treaty of Kadesh. It gives you 1 Diplo point, and then your second Diplo point will just be here as soon as you finish a Suz. So it is, it's a very strong civilization just from the diplomatic aspect, and it's a bit of an interesting one because it is all round, right? Like you can just quite literally do anything on it. We've got some pretty decent yields here at the end of the game. The main issue that we've got is our gold per turn is not actually that high, and that's despite having these crazy numbers in here. So I don't actually know what it is that's keeping the gold down. If we take a look at this benchmark, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cities. So not too bad, 7 cities, 8 settlements in total. And I think, if I remember correctly, this one just quite literally completed its Parthenon. So it's a pretty high tempo civilization. So overall, though, when it comes to its placement on the tier list, as we mentioned earlier, the Greeks are going to be going into the A tier with the Han, with the Mississippians, and now we move on to our next tier. So let's take a look and see who is in the B tier. I've got my notes all over here. All right, next up, this is a bit of a surprising one. I didn't think I'd actually end up putting them this high, but it's going to be Axom. And the reason why is because as the city meta has developed, we've become more reliant on gold. It's not so much about gold being a good resource, it's that gold is a hard resource to come by. It's not a particularly easy resource to just go out and say, I'm gonna find myself some gold. It's not like that. And Axom are very good at generating gold. They have a lot of bonuses that help them do that. So they get +2 gold on resources. And this starts trickling from the very beginning of the game. So as an example here, we played Axom with Lafayette, and this is just another game that I've just been playing offline. And we start off with +2 gold over here on the jade, +2 gold on the sheep, +2 gold on the salt. So already just from the start, we've got +6 gold. Of course, we're eventually going to take the dyes as well. That's another +2 gold. So you're getting 8 gold a turn that's coming through right there. And it means that when we finish this game here, we've got 484 gold per turn. And that's a good amount of gold. That's on par with the Mississippians. So that is an incredible amount of gold. Every single one of our settlements is a city, just because we've got so much gold. And that's the great thing about having gold, is that you can be very flexible with it. So let's talk more specifically about what makes these guys so damn good. Let me pull up my notes here. So number one, obviously the +2 gold is very good. Number two is their, if we take a look at their unique civics, unfortunately they don't, and keep in mind, we're not going to talk about the bad things, we're going to try and focus on the good things. While they don't have +1 settlement limit in the civics, they do actually have some really good traditions. In particular, there is actually, I'm not actually sure if it's a tradition. Let me double check and see. Yeah, no, it is a tradition. +2 culture on resources on or adjacent to coast. This is incredibly powerful because it guarantees that you're going to be able to secure a huge amount of culture in your games that you play. So as an example, if I was thinking, you know what, I really want to play a game where I've got a lot of culture so that I can build a whole bunch of wonders, Axom would be a reliable way to actually get that culture, because once again, it's difficult to come across culture. So if we take a look there, it's down over here. So +2 culture on resources on or adjacent to coast. So that means that anything that is on or adjacent to the coast is going to be picking up that extra culture. So it can be really nice. And it means, you know, typically with Axom, you've got that coastal bias that you have. So you're going to be taking a lot of coastal, cities, and those coastal cities are going to have coastal resources, and those coastal, the coast itself is going to have resources as well. So it is, it's a huge amount of culture and gold that you're able to stack up on top. You can see we've got 600 culture per turn, which is a decent amount of culture to have at the end of a game. So that's the second component. The third one is the Dow. The Dow is a really fun unit to utilize. So that's the unique unit available to Axom. So if we take a look here, we can purchase one, 300 gold. So the thing that makes the Dows quite unique is the fact that it can create a trade route. And you can actually create a trade route with a person before you have even researched Code of Laws, which is normally when you'd be able to create that trade route. So all you need to do is have open borders. And once you've got open borders, you can go into that city or into that town, and then you can go through there and you'll be able to click a little button, and that will allow you to actually create that trade route. So it's a cool little thing that combines sort of the ability to be flexible. You're allowed to defend, attack, and at the same time be economic. You can create a trade route. So I think that the Dow is definitely quite a strong unit, because it's only got that one charge. But when you think about it, a merchant's only got one charge. The other thing to note is that merchants scale with their cost, whereas the Dow doesn't. So you can have 100 Dows and they're all going to cost you the same, but you have 100 merchants and each one is subsequently more expensive. So other than that, that's pretty much it for Axom. The biggest drawback is just the reduction in settlement limit. Yeah, they only have a cap, or they have the same as everybody else, right? So it's the 3+3. And then I think in here we're probably running Corona Civica. Yeah, we're running Corona Civica, so we're able to go up to 7 and not face too many ramifications. But yeah, that's it. Let's move on now to our next civilization. We've got... Which one are we going to do now? I think we'll probably go into this one right here, Moria. So Moria, India. Let's fix up the let's fix up this bad boy first before we move on. Axom, get up there in the B tier. Next we've got Moria, and these guys are a bit difficult. I will say that right now. By the way, we got an absolutely wild... I have no idea what happened on this spawn. Can I just remark? Sometimes they just give you the weirdest spawns, and sometimes you get standard ones. Like, look at this. I think he's only got one single settlement, the poor guy, Augustus, over here. So I've just gone and we've just claimed his entire land. Look, it doesn't really change too much. A SimCity game is always going to be a SimCity game, irrespective of how much land you've got. Well, not necessarily, but we had a lot of land. There were still settlements that we could have taken, and we just didn't, because we were able to come out here. So let's talk a little bit about this civilization and less about this game. So let me pull up my notes here for Moria. So number one, you've got access to 2 pantheons. That is a huge bonus. It means that you're able to be very flexible. You can take the +1 production on mines, and then you can take a second one, whether that be maybe culture on quarters, or science on quarters, or you can, I just realized we've had this up for the whole time. Oh my lord, sorry. I didn't, I should have checked. Apologies. We pulled it down. So yeah, the primary thing though is that you've got access to 2 pantheons, and it means, I think in this game we got City Patron Goddess. Yeah, we got City Patron Goddess, and we also got Stone Circles. And because of that, it means that we've got, essentially we've got utility in our pantheon, but we've also got a huge amount of raw production. And that is incredible. It means that you've got a lot of tempo towards the mid game. It means that once you've got that second, that third city that's come up, they're able to continue carrying on with their huge amounts of production that they've got in here. You can see here, there's our second city. It's got 1, 2, 3 mines in here, 4th one, 5th one down over here. So they're all experiencing that extra production. We're able to carry over that extra influence from City Patron Goddess. And the same thing goes on for each one of these cities. The final benchmarks here, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cities in total. Looks like we had a couple of trade routes here, and we had ourselves a very nice little canal city as well. Yeah, you can't help yourself when you see a canal like this. You've definitely got to do it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is just the happiness orientation. So if we look at the traditions that Moria get, they get quite a lot of. I would say they're probably the most synergetic civilization, right? Like if you're playing into Moria, you have to play into their synergies. So if we take a look at our policies here and take a look at the numbers that they're able to pull in, we're getting 56 science from our excess happiness. We're getting 56 gold from our excess happiness. And we're also getting extra culture from our Sanchi Stupa. So at the moment, we're getting 42.6 culture in this city. So Sanchi Stupa is probably doing a decent amount of that. If it's 5 extra happiness, then you're getting about 14, maybe 15 culture coming through from it. So the whole idea is happiness. And that's where your synergy really comes through. I think they're a great SimCity civilization just because it really, at its core level, it just encourages you to play a standard game. And it just does very well at that. And there are leaders that do incredibly well with Moria. Charlemagne comes to mind. Both of the Ashokas are quite good. Here we've opted for World Conqueror Ashoka, but they combo very well from that perspective of SimCity. Their unique district scales just incredibly well with their traditions. And just overall, I think the Civs kit is very strong. The one other thing to note is that it can feel a little bit disheartening going all the way through the civic tree and only getting the +1 settlement limit all the way at the end. Especially because realistically, I mean, you're going to be looking to pick this up most games. You're not going to be making it to here before you pick up Sanchi Stupa, so you can definitely justify doing it. It just does feels a little bit slow. I'd love this to be like down 1 or 2 of these, or one of these down here. Finally, let's talk about the Purabatera. The Purabatera is the unique unit for the Morians, and it is an incredible unit. Number 1, it ignores zone of control. Number 2, it gets the bonus combat strength against fortified districts. And it just means that you're able to take down any cities that the opponent looks to put before you. Not that you typically want to be doing this, just because, as I said, when it comes to Civ 7, obviously you can play any way you like. But if we're looking at beating the Deity AI, early on, especially within the first 60 to 80 turns, the Deity AI has so many bonuses that are difficult for you to overcome. Now, by the time you get to turn 146 and you're making 322 science, it's a different ball game, and 100% you can go to war absolutely crushing the AI. But early on, it's more difficult to do. But in the event that you do go to war, the Purabatera is 100% going to be able to carry its weight, carry its fair share. So let's go ahead and we'll put them on the tier list. Now, I did say at the beginning of this, we were going to do everything, or we were going to do it in order. But there's one that I want to do right now, just because I want to get it out of my system, because it's been haunting me a little bit, and it's my Persia playthrough. I was playing with Freddy. I said, you know what? Let's try and do a playthrough here of Persia, and every single turn I was taking was just reinforcing the mindset that if you're playing against the Deity AI, it just doesn't make sense to go to war with them early. As I said, when it comes to multiplayer, it's a completely different ballgame. But here, against the Deity AI, it just doesn't work. And let's talk a little bit about why. Let me pull up my notes here for Persia. Now, Persia are not going to be going in the A tier, or the B tier, or the S tier, or the C tier. They're going to be going in the D tier. And look, as I said, we want to try and talk about the good things about them. But let's just start with this, okay? We're only on turn 101, okay? But have a look at our yields. our yields are so damn sad. We're making 27 culture, 31 science, okay? Now, keep in mind, this is a recent game that I've played, and I've tried to play it to the best of my abilities. I've tried to do everything right. I've tried to play it by the book. I've tried to take advantage of what Persia gives me, and this is what I've sort of come out with. And this is part of the reason why I think they are just this far down the bottom. I think they're the worst civilization. So let's go through what they've got that's good. Number one is that they have 30% extra production towards Gate of All Nations, which is really good. This is a great world wonder, one of the best in the game, and you want to try and get this if you can. And the fact that they get 30% extra production towards it is wonderful. That's great. But that's about where it stops. Because the trouble is, you're very focused on war. If we take a look at the bonuses that they get, they are pretty much all war bonuses. So, number one is infantry units receive 3 combat strength when attacking. So you want to be on the offensive. Number 2, unique unit heals after defeating an enemy unit. So this is a win more unit. You already have to be winning in the first point to be doing it. And win more units aren't always, or they're not good units. I don't like win more units. I like units that help me get to the point of winning, not units that help me win even more. And that's what the Immortal does. Because if you're killing units in the first place, then you're already ahead. Next up, we've got their unique commander, which is arguably pretty decent because the initiative promotion is quite strong. So if we take a look at it here, the initiative promotion is here. And this is typically an assault tree. The assault tree is where you're going to be going if you're going to be playing into Persia. You want to be attacking people, and that is definitely going to be the assault tree. And then finally, if we take a look at their last bonuses, the Pyridazer. Arguably the best component, or at least from a SimCity perspective. If you were going to play a SimCity style, I could see this being a core component of it. Now, let's jump into their unique civics, because this is where it just goes from bad to worse. I look at this and I can't help but feel like it needs to be completely reworked. It just doesn't feel good at all. So you start off with your unique civics and you're like, okay, -1 gold maintenance for units. Okay, sure. Oh, before we just get onto this though, you don't actually need this early, the -1 gold. You want to know why? Because your unique unit, it is... well, it unlocks at, it's a level 2 unique unit. So you don't actually get it as a warrior replacement. So it's not like the Hoplite, where it comes at tier 1. You don't get it down here. You have to wait until tier 2, which means it's quite a long time before you actually get to use the Immortal. But fortunately, once you've got it, you have -1 maintenance for units. You don't need this early on at all. So, you know, it doesn't really need to be here. Second up, you've got this one, which gives you Gate of All Nations. Now, keep in mind, Gate of All Nations is already very early on in the tech tree. So most games, you're going to be going like Chiefdom into Discipline and then down into the Mastery for it. And then you can look to come into like Tactics, Organized Military, that sort of thing. So you're already going to be down here in the first place. So yeah, it can be hard to justify going into or doing this for Gate of All Nations. +3 gold for every town is not bad at all. If we take a look at how many cities we've got here, we've got the first one, a capital. We've got the second one that's over here. And everything else, we've also got over on this. So this was a capital that we've taken. So we've taken this from Trung Trak. We're not at war with her anymore, but we are with her allies. And we took our capital from her. And despite us taking the capital and these beautiful yields that we've got on her natural wonder, we're still only sitting at +27. Now, a component of that is going to be the fact that we're at -20 at the moment. And that's one of the consequences of war, right? When you're going to war, you're going to have to make these decisions about, okay, well, do I take this city and do I go over the limit? Do I play within my limits? Like, should have we settled Raga? Probably not. Should have we accepted this in a trade deal? Probably not, because now it means that we're going to be even pushed further towards our limits. And because of that, it's, you know, I guess it's one of those things that you learn as you war more. But it's very difficult to justify when we continue looking at this. Then we've got +5 gold for every civilization you've captured a settlement from. Just feels incredibly bad. And then +1 settlement limit is finally down here. They're all the way at the bottom. It's just, it's such an ugly tech tree. It gives you absolutely nothing that you want in here. I think the highlight of this is probably the +3 gold from towns. That's probably it. Everything else just feels so mediocre in here. Even though they get 2 settlement limit, look, there's definitely a world where you go, okay, maybe let's try SimCitying with them and we get the extra +2 settlement limit. But everything else is just so, it just, nah, man, nah. That's not it. It's not it. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on to something a little bit brighter. We'll throw Persia in the D tier, and we'll head back to our scheduled broadcasting, and we might do that with Rome. Now, Rome are a bit of an interesting civilization, because when you're playing as Rome, you definitely want to play into traditions. The trouble with Rome at the moment is they are bugged. I will say that out of the gate. So their unique quarter doesn't actually work. So the trouble that you've got with the unique quarter is it's meant to give gold and meant to give culture. If we take a look at it at the moment. So the unique quarter is meant to give gold and culture for every unique tradition in the government. And it gives culture, but it doesn't give gold. And this can be really quite difficult to reconcile with, because we really need gold when we're playing any kind of SimCity style, because that's going to be the most effective. And it means that when you don't have that gold, it really reduces the power of the civilization. So hopefully the bug gets fixed up and we're able to focus on why the civilization is good rather than why it's bugged at the moment. So let's talk a little bit about that. So number one is their guaranteed strong culture generation. No matter the civilization, or rather I should say, no matter the spawn, no matter the leader, you're always going to have a huge amount of culture that is being generated. And the reason why that is because of the +1 culture on districts in the capital. So as soon as you put down a single building, immediately +1 culture on that building. And that can really start to stack up after you've added in a granary, a blacksmith, a barracks, oh my god, a granary, a saw pit. You get the idea. It's going to continue building up and building up. On top of that, once you start settling towns, you're also going to be getting the +1 culture on city centers in those towns as well. So that's another really good bonus, and that's one of the important components whenever we're rating a civilization, is the consistency of it. And that's a consistent bonus that we're always going to be able to proc, we're always going to be able to get it. So because of that, we absolutely like Rome for that. Next thing that we've got on the list is the Legion. The Legion is their unique unit that scales with the traditions that you've got. So if we take a look at the Legion here, it's a unit that starts off slow, but once it gets going, it really starts hitting quite hard. And you can get this up to +8 combat strength, which is very nice. And that's what Rome is all about. It's all about just having traditions in your policy. So at the moment, we're rocking all 4 of our traditions. If we could have 9 traditions, we absolutely would. But unfortunately, we can't. So that's the most that we're going to... that's all we're going to have. Let's check this playthrough, though, and see how we're doing. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cities, which is not too bad. Is it only 6? I feel like it was more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... I guess it's just 6. Yeah, it's 6. We've got 3 little towns at the moment. So, unfortunately, yeah, only the 6 cities. It's still decent, though. The next thing is the Legatus. The Legatus is a bit of an interesting one, just primarily because you do have the option with the Legatus. If we take a look at it over here. So, it is a unique army commander that gets a charge every 3 levels to create a settlement. So this could be very strong, but the question is, how are you going to be getting those 3 levels? Typically, it's going to be something to do with a city-state early on, and then once you clear the city-state, you'll get that big boost of experience, and then that'll allow you to get that settlement in. I don't think this is a huge component of it, though. It does offer up a decent chunk of production, especially if you can take out a military city-state, and that's going to give you experience, and it also gives production back to the cap, and then you can use that experience that you've got to then use to create a settler, essentially, with this. One thing to note is that the scaling on this actually significantly hurts the next settler that you make. It's a small little detail, but it is one of the things that the devs obviously considered, and it forces the cost of the next settler to be quite a lot more expensive, more than it should be. So that's it. So the next thing I want to highlight is the fact that the Basilica, which is one of the unique buildings that they get, is the only building in the game that I'm aware of, or at least in Antiquity, I'll say that right now, that has +1 influence adjacency for anything. Normally it's like culture or science or gold adjacency, happiness adjacency, but this is the only time we ever see influence adjacency. And that is quite powerful. It means that in this game, as an example, we're up to 43 accumulated influence. If we take a look at our pantheons, we've only got Goddess of Festivals, so nothing too crazy with regard to our influence generation. So once again, it's a guaranteed way that you're able to get influence in another form. And that is always a welcome addition to any game, to any civilization. Finally, if we just take a look at their civic tree, the civic tree is pretty decent. Everything in here all makes sense. You want to try and get everything in here. I mean, ideally, you want to be getting traditions, right? You're incentivized to get traditions. Whereas if you compare this to the Persian tree, where it's like, yeah, you're incentivized to go to war, and it's like, but war doesn't really do much for us. It ruins us, especially in the early game. And maybe there's a world where Persia makes a little bit more sense to go war later on, but at least in the early game, I couldn't make it work. Even though we won the war, even though everything went well, unfortunately, we couldn't make that work. Whereas here, you're always going to be able to make Rome work, and that's the good thing about it. You're always going to be able to take advantage. These settlement limits are very easy to get. You know, you're basically going 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's super, super duper easy to get. So overall, I think when it comes to Rome, they've got a +2 settlement limit in a civic tree that you want to actually get, and for me that is definitely a good thing. So let's go ahead. We'll put them up on our tier list. Now they're only going to be going in the B tier. Jeez, I tell you what, this computer is lagging like absolutely crazy right now. We're going to have to format probably tomorrow. All right, let's talk a little bit about our next civilization. It is going to be. All right, I've scrolled down in my notes just to find it, and here we go. Carthage. Carthage is a bit of an interesting one, and there's two ways that I want to go about this. First and foremost, I just want to start by saying Carthage hasn't been out for a long time, about 2 to 3 weeks now that Carthage has been out, so we're still kind of learning and discovering what Carthage can do. Whenever I think of Carthage, I think of Dido, back in, was it Civ 5? And so I always want to refer to Carthage as her, so apologies. So let's take a look at where we are, the final stages here. It's turned 151. We're very far through this game. This is just a normal Antiquity age. We've just managed to capture the capital of the person that we were warring against. And in spite of that, or despite that, our yields still are quite sad. Now, maybe it's just me. Maybe I don't really know how to get all the gears working with Carthage just yet. But for me, it seems to be a civilization that's basically got one strategy. And that strategy is this. You're going to start off, you're going to go into a whole bunch of settlers. You're going to try and settle as many places as you possibly can. You're going to look to purchase your coffins in all of your towns. You're going to use that gold then, and also going to start trading at the same time. And of course, when you start trading, that's going to build up your the amount of resources that you've got in the cap, and eventually you'll start to have a crazy amount of resources in the cap. We actually had quite a lot of resources in the cap because of all the camels that are out here, but unfortunately when we go to war, and that's one of the difficult things, because we've got all of this trade, right? We're doing all this trade. We want to go to war because we've got all the resources that are in the cap, and that's going to mean that we've got a much higher... I don't think we can actually show this one. Yeah, we've eliminated... who was this? I think this was Amina that was here. So we can't actually show the strength, but obviously the strength is going to be scaling with how many resources we've got in the capital. If we take a look here at the unique unit, the Numidian cavalry. And the trouble is that it goes against what you want to do, because you want to be trading with all of these people. And what happened was, the moment that I declared war on Amina, she wasn't in an alliance, but she was good friends with somebody. And the moment I declared war, straight away, probably about 2 to 3 turns later, they joined the war. And because now all of a sudden, if we take a look here, how many camels have you got in your empire? That's our camels. There's a lot of camels out here. There's a second one out here. And because of that, because you lose the camels, now you're losing all of that military power. So basically, like, you need to hit somebody that's not friends with anybody, at least not anybody that you're trading with, or rather, at least not anybody that that is friends with someone that you're trading with, because it can really hurt you. Like, I think the biggest weakness to this is just camels and trying to stack up all the resources in the capital, and it just means that when you declare war, you lose it. Anyway, we're not talking about Carthage that much, but basically that seems to be the game plan. The biggest restriction that you seem to have with Carthage is science and culture. So what we went for, the strategy in this game here as Carthage, is we went and took Catherine's level 9 Great Imperial Crown. We said we're going to try that out. We're going to just put that in a whole bunch of towns that are all going to be down in the tundra. Gave us a decent amount of science, about 10 science per turn, which is absolutely nothing too crazy. We'll look to try and get a science city-state, which we did. Mesa Verde, we obviously lost that because we had 3 different wars declared on us. And we got a whole bunch of step pyramids, and they went absolutely crazy. We have a huge, like, if you look at the empire, look how much of that is step pyramid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We got so many damn step pyramids, and you want to know the best part? Is it barely makes a dent in our science. Our science, even before, like, if we take a look at how much this is helping us out here, all of these captured cities are really contributing to our science and culture. If it wasn't for these numbers would be so piddly. I think these would be double-digit numbers. And that's, I don't know whether that's embarrassing, because maybe I just don't know how to play Carthage yet. But from my perspective, it feels difficult to get Carthage to work. Obviously, I know what the game plan is. I know how it works. It feels like you're a one-trick pony, though. That's the biggest issue that I've got. So, obviously, if we look at raiding Carthage at the moment, we have to consider the fact that the unique cavalry is bugged. It gets extra damage based on how many resources you've got that are non-unique, whereas it should just be unique. They're very focused on war, which is difficult against the Deity AI, but obviously it is possible. But you have a lot to overcome with their bonuses that they get. And obviously, when it gets this far on in the game, you're going to be doing a lot better. But then once again, you know, we come back to that circle of, well, hold on a minute, we're going to be losing out the camels because we're attacking potential trade partners, or potential trade partners are declaring war on us. So that hurts as well. So the final thing to talk about is their civic tree, their unique civics. So they do get +2 settlement limit, which is a pretty decent timing. It comes at a good spot here, and it feels natural coming into this, and you want to move up into this direction. So I think it's definitely a good thing when we look at their unique civic tree. When we look at their, when we look at the amount, or rather, when we look at the traditions that they take, it doesn't really excite me. I think that the best thing that you could probably do is look to try and somehow get Hawaii. So whether that means you're taking Jose Rizal in the games that you're playing, or whether you're intentionally going out of your way to settle little islands like this, that's going to be your primary focus here, because you could 100% make Hawaii work. But even then, like, we've got towns here that are on the water. We're not working any water tiles. The only water tiles that we're working are down here in this one little town, because we said, hey, you know what? Why not? We might set up ourselves a little fishing town. This is the only thing that's going to get buffed up by Hawaii. So who knows? Maybe there still needs to be a little bit more to be explored. But at the moment, the way I feel about Carthage, and I know it's probably going to be controversial. I know people probably won't agree with this, but it's going to have to go into the C tier. I'm sorry. C does stand for Carthage today. All right, let's talk about our next civilization. It's going to be Egypt. So this was a game that I actually just played this evening. And Egypt's a bit of a weird one, because you're very pigeonholed. It's almost similar to Carthage in that you're not forced, but you kind of want to just do one strategy, right? Which is play a Hatshepsut and make a lot of wonders, which is a good strat. Like if we look at this game right here, how many wonders did we get in the end? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And to be honest, that I would say that's probably above par. And normally we want to be below par, right? Like if you're thinking in golf terms. So definitely not on par. And this was a crazy spawn that we had. Have a look at the yields that we've got on these bad boys. I don't think I've ever seen yields like this before. I feel like Donald Trump talking about my yields right now. They're huge. We got big yields. And despite that, it's been a difficult game. We're at turn 122 at the moment. So still, this is quite early. We didn't play with the longer ages on. 146 science, not that good. Culture is very good. Culture and gold were amazing in this playthrough here. And I think that's one of the consistent things that you're going to find with Egypt, that you've got consistent culture, that you've got consistent gold. There's definitely ways that you can play into that and play into that bonuses. The biggest difficulty that we have when we look at Egypt is their desire, or their bias rather, for navigable rivers. So they have +1 production on navigable rivers. Normally, you don't want to be working navigable rivers. Now, this is an amazing navigable river tile, because the flood has happened over and over and over and over again, and we've managed to finally get a +4 production tile. But generally, it's something that we want to be avoiding working, especially in the early game. So we're not really taking advantage of that in the early game. And it means that if you do have to take advantage of that in the early game, if you've got a big navigable river that you're working, like down here, let's say you spawned here and you're, wow, we're working our navigable river. It's not really a good thing. You don't want to be, it's a bit of a trap, because so much of that food is just going to go to waste. You're going to end up with maybe 2 or 3 extra citizens over everybody else, and you're going to be like 20 production behind because of just the way that production, or rather food costs, scale in the game. So let me bring up my notes here for Egypt. So number 1 is the unique unit, the Medjay. I'm a big fan of the Medjay. It is a great defensive unit. It has got a bonus defense when you are in your own territory, and on top of that, it gets additional bonuses when you're in an actual settlement that you own. So as an example, Pashakuti was on an absolute warpath this game with me. I'm not kidding you. He denounced me 3 times back to back. Every single one of them I hit back, and the 4th denouncement I didn't have enough influence for it. Man, they got to change the way that the denouncement works, or at least for the AI. Like, if the AI wants to denounce you that much, like, they should just declare war on you, man. Like, at that point, like, you've done 4 denouncements, bro, just get over with it. Anyway, Medjay was integral in the defenses, so really, really important that we had that. What was the next point? The unique buildings are great because they provide gold. That's a great point. Good on me for writing that down. Gold's hard to come by. It's not easy to get. And you've got a consistent, reliable way to get gold. Here we've got 10 gold coming through here. 12 gold on this one. Here we mixed it up a little bit. We've got 9 and then 7. We decided to switch things up here because we knew we weren't going to need the unique district. We mainly want the buildings for the gold. But you've always got the consistent gold generation. And with consistent gold generation, you've got flexibility. So in this playthrough, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 cities I think we've got. yeah, only 4 cities. There probably would have been a 5th city as well that came up. It definitely felt a little bit slow, though. I will say that much. If we take a look at their civics, though, everything in here is good in the sense that everything is something that you want, right? Like, you need to unlock your muster bar. That's good. You also get the 15% production towards wonders. Wonderful. That's great. The arrival of Harpy. Here, once again, you're getting the Mortuary Temple. Great, you need that. You don't really care about Arquette. You don't really care about the culture is not too bad. Up here, you get +1 culture on navigable rivers. You also get the settlement limit, the gold on the palace. These are all good things. I mean, pyramids, you're going to be unlocking quite early on anyway, just from masonry. And you can see just how far along we are in the tech tree here, in the sense that we are not far at all. We've still got all of these techs to go, and we're at 100% here. So we are definitely behind when it comes to the science side of things. And I think that's just one of the ways that, I guess, like when you're thinking about Egypt and playing Egypt, ideally you want to be pairing it with Hatshepsut, just because you've got a lot of synergy there with the whole wonders and that playstyle, but it feels very locked in. It feels like you don't really have much playstyle outside of that. And look, I'm sure that there'll be new things discovered, but at the moment, it feels like you've got this combination of like an underwhelming, unique civic tree. The +1 settlement limits all the way at the end. It could be up earlier, and it's just like, it just... The synergy is good. It's just that, once again, you're very much pigeonholed into that sort of playstyle. Anyway, when it comes to the tier list, let's go ahead. We'll chuck them into the C tier, the Egyptians. And finally, we move on to our last civilization, the Khmer. Now, you guys have probably seen this playthrough before. This is one we did with Pashakuti. And I've actually moved them up in my mind. I don't actually think they are the worst civ anymore, as you can obviously see by our tier list here. I do still think that they definitely need a little bit of work. Let's just put it that way. Let's talk a little bit about the Khmer. Why are they good? What do we like about them? Number one is their early tempo. They get a huge amount of early tempo by putting their districts on a river. So there, you can't see it, but there is a river all the way that runs from this tile all the way down over to here. And we've got districts going the entire way that are going to be taking advantage of that. The only trouble is that rivers run in a certain way, and it's not always where you want to put buildings down. So it can be a bad thing as well, because it can mean that you're putting buildings down on a place that you don't want to be having something. And that can be difficult. Now, the stars can align, and sometimes you can get incredible placements, like we did over here. We got an incredible placement where all the stars aligned, and it meant that we were able to get some crazy good yields. And I think for those circumstances, playing as the Khmer can be very enjoyable. The only bad thing about the Khmer at the moment is that food is not good. And because food is not good, it's hard to justify wanting to grow big. And a lot of their bonuses are focused around that. So if we take a look at the Khmer civics, we have got we're getting additional food here. At Amnak, we're getting increased specialist limit through Angkor Wat. Up at Chakravarti, we're getting 50% growth rate in the capital. It is all about growing big and having lots and lots of specialists as the Khmer. And food at the moment, it needs to be... I suspect they probably will look to rework the algorithm, or not the algorithm, but the formula for it, because at the moment, I don't think the growth mechanic is working the way that it probably should be. So once that gets fixed up, I'm sure we'll see Khmer absolutely come out of the gates very hard, very fast. Next thing that is important is that they've got a guaranteed Angkor Wat. Angkor Wat is a good world wonder if you're playing around specialists. If you're not playing around specialists, then it means absolutely nothing to you. But I think once you get into sort of exploration, definitely into modern era, you're going to be looking to play around specialists, and Angkor Wat's value will really become quite important there. Or as an example in this game, where we look to get Machu Picchu on this tile right here, then it became a really important part of that as well. So being able to secure Angkor Wat before anybody else is even close to it. If we take a look at where Angkor Wat is on the tech tree, you'll see it's all the way at the very end at philosophy. So you've got to go through like 6 techs to get up here. Whereas for the unique civic tree, it's literally on the second one. It's right here. So, you know, people are putting up their monuments, and the Khmer are completing Angkor Wat. So that's a really cool thing for them. The last thing is that you don't have an extra settlement limit. That's the big thing, and that's the drawback. And I know I said we were going to try and avoid talking about the drawbacks, but it's hard not to when it's about settlement limit. So here is an example. We're sitting at our maximum amount of settlements. It's 6. And of course you can go over that, but obviously it's going to hurt you. If you do that, then you're going to be hit with happiness penalties, yield penalties, and in a lot of these cities, so if we take a look here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cities that are up, that are running. It's turn 139, so very late on in the era, and We've got 5 cities on, but yeah, we can definitely go for more settlements. It's just, it is harder to justify going for that as the Khmer. So overall, their yields were surprisingly good, just mainly because we got so far through the age and we were able to get some really good adjacencies together with Pachacuti and the Specialists. So I think I probably don't give them or him enough credit in that regard, but I think that you're very limited in your playstyle. It's very much about Specialists. It's very much about growing big, and I think they can be quite spawn dependent. If you don't get a good river that you can put things on that have got resources adjacent to them. So as an example right here, this is a +2, and that's a river. Whereas if you didn't have that and there were no resources adjacent, then you don't have the +2 on the river that's adjacent. So you can't use the bonus. So it can also hamper you in a way as well. But other than that, if we were to put them on the tier list, while they're not the worst civilization, that does belong to Persia, they are definitely still solidly in the D tier. So that's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to leave it there. That is the tier list. Let me try and make that a little bit bigger for you guys. There we go. We can blow it up on the screen for you. That is the Antiquity age tier list, of course. Keep in mind, this is my tier list. Yours probably looks different, and that's absolutely okay. This is after 750 hours of playing Civ 7 now that we've come to this tier list. So that is it. But yeah, if you've got any questions, leave them down below. Any feedback, feel free to chuck them down here. And if you'd like to play any of the seeds that you've seen today, make sure you check out the Discord where we will leave all of them uploaded. But other than that, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you very much for watching.